Hey guys, Eric here out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're going to talk about the takeaway, the all-important takeaway, and really the one thing you want to make sure that you get right during your takeaway. So let's go ahead and dive right in. When I take my normal setup position, there's a relationship that's going to be built during the early takeaway phases. And specifically what that is where the club head is relative to my hands. Now, if we look at a perfect takeaway, and we'll put a picture on the screen, I would say a perfect takeaway in terms of the club movement would be the club head right about down my toe line. The club head should be about right in line with my hands, and the toe of the club should be slightly more forward than the heel. Club's down my toe line, club head in line with my hands, toe in front of the heel. I would call that about perfect. Now at CogornoGolf.com, where we work with all of our players, what I see the biggest issue is the one thing they don't get right is they disturb that relationship between the club and the hands. Meaning they get the club head too far inside or behind their hands too early. Now I'd like it to be right in line, but if we put a spectrum of good swings on, you would see a safe zone for most players would be basically right in line with the hands. And if I'm being honest, I don't mind it being slightly inside, but we want to avoid wildly inside. But the spectrum we'd see would be right in line with your hands or slightly outside the hands. That would be like a perfect spectrum that we would use. So I've got this little railroad drill here, right? So what I want you to do when you're practicing this to fix your takeaway is put one golf club or alignment rod right in line with the golf ball and target, and put the second one right in line with your toe line. And the visual that I want you to get, especially if you're the golfer who gets this hands out, club in look, or the club head gets too far inside your hands too early, what I want you to feel is that your hands stay inside, from my point of view, of this stick that's down my toe line. So they stay on the inside of that, while the club head is going to feel like it travels down the yellow stick. So this is an exaggeration, but if I feel like my hands go inside my toe line, and from my perspective, the club head is on that yellow, that's exaggerated. That club head is perhaps too far outside my hands. But what I'm saying to you is, if your normal swing goes here, and we want it here, you're gonna need to feel at least here. So I'm gonna hit one with just that first sensation, then we'll kind of talk our way through the details. Hands inside, from my perspective, the orange, club head rides down the yellow, keeping the club head more outside my hands. Let's go ahead and do one from there. Hey guys, today's video is sponsored by our friends at Pinned Golf. In my hand here, I have their new Ace rangefinder. It's the third model that they've come out with, and it's the absolute best one yet. It's a features-packed golf rangefinder that offers everything from slope, a slope switch that makes it 100% tournament legal, a USB charger so you don't have to buy any of the weird batteries, a crystal clear HD LCD screen, tour level accuracy, and much more. Guys, you hear me talk all the time about feedback. You need video feedback when you're practicing. You need yardage feedback when you're playing. And the Pinned Golf Ace rangefinder, to me, is absolutely the best quality and price of a rangefinder that's on the market. I used to pay twice the amount for a rangefinder that worked no better than this one did, and it's something that I think is non-negotiable in all my students' hands. The Pinned rangefinder. Use promo code Cogorno, C-O-G-O-R-N-O, and save $25 off. We'll put the link down below. Now, what I'm looking to do during the takeaway, and why this is so important, is that relationship of where the club head is relative to my hands early is going to affect where it is in transition. Most all of us know the idea is we want to get the club head slightly shallowing during the downswing, the shaft getting slightly more horizontal, the club head getting slightly more behind our hands. To give ourselves the best chance to do that, we want to have it slightly outside or even with early. The number one issue I see all the time, when the club head gets inside the hands early, it starts to get outside the hands early in transition. So to counteract that, we just want to flip the script. Hands inside the orange, club head down the yellow. Exaggerated on purpose. Let's go ahead and hit one more at that feel. Hands inside. And what I feel when I do that correctly is a little bit of a shallowing or like a whipping effect on purpose. It almost feels a little bit out of control in transition, which if you're the golfer who goes this way and this way, that's gonna feel like a lot of force and a lot of control normally. You wanna feel like it's a little bit out of control, like the shaft gets a little bit lighter. So my hands feel like they're going in over my foot, inside that orange, and the club head feels out. Now for me, as I'm doing that, it feels like the toe is a bit more in front of the heel compared to normal. The butt of the club feels like it's pointed towards my body a little bit more than normal. And my left elbow feels like it's towards my body a little bit more than normal. So hands inside the orange, club head down the yellow. And if you look at players, and I bet if you do that and you're used to doing the other, it should feel like the club head's whipping through impact, like you have more speed for free compared to the other way. If you look at players who do this too much, the players who get the hands in, club head out sort of excessively, you would usually see those players being the most shallow in transition. And also those players are usually all really good ball strikers. I have a very hard time finding people who get this exaggerated, who don't play fairly well. Very easy for me to show you players who go this way, who really struggle with the steep. So the one thing I want you to get right with your takeaway is control the relationship between the club head and your hands. Hands inside the orange, club head down the yellow. And this drill, this little railroad train tracks drill, is just a really easy visual. We all have golf clubs, you can just use clubs. And you want to feel like your hands keep working inside of this and the club keeps working down it, probably until about the club gets parallel to the ground. And again, if you really struggle with this, it'll probably feel like the butt of the club stays pointed towards you longer instead of out towards the ball or target. And it'll probably feel like your left elbow stays pointed towards you longer compared to out towards the ball or target. Hands inside the orange, club head traces down the yellow. Remember, what we're looking for on video is like here, but you got to feel this to get to there. And it would be okay if you got a little bit on that side. Let's do one more. So that's the railroad takeaway drill. You can do this with all clubs. I would highly recommend that you record yourself from down the line with a live view or a phone to see where you're actually at. Because I'm telling you, a lot of us are gonna feel this takeaway drill and it's gonna feel like it's way out here, and you're gonna look on video and it's gonna be like perfect. So your job is to feel how exaggerated it needs to be. And then our job, and I would always recommend a coach, I'd recommend you check out CogornoGolf.com, you schedule a 15-minute phone call with me. Our job is to lay out these priorities for you. So hopefully you enjoyed this takeaway video. We're gonna put a card on the screen for another similar takeaway video. We'll also put CogornoGolf.com. We'd love to see you there.